Have you ever wondered what the exact benchmark is for perfect sounding headphones? If you're anything like us at Dekoni Audio, you surely have. And if you're someone who spends countless hours scrolling through audio forums, you may have come across the term Harman curve. If you have, and this is something you're unfamiliar with, don't worry. In this installment of our Dekoni U informational series, we're going to dive into some detail about the Harman curve and how it originated to help give you guys a better understanding of this concept. Before we get into what the Harman curve means, it's important to know where the word Harman has been derived from. Harman refers to Harman International, a company that has been known in the audio electronics space since 1953, back when it was first recognized as Harman Kardon. Over the span of decades, accompanied by a series of expansions and acquisitions, Harman International became an audio technology powerhouse and leader in psychoacoustic research. In 2013, following a previous research study regarding the relationship between perception and measurement of headphone sound quality, they published a new research study called Listener Preference for Different Headphone Target Response Curves. This newfound research regarding the different headphone response curves and listener preferences birthed the widely recognized term Harman curve. The Harman curve is essentially a specific target frequency response that produces the best possible sound for headphones. Frequency response refers to the range of bass, mids, and treble that headphones can reproduce. The ideal frequency range covers the audible sound range of 20 Hz to 20 kHz. Frequency response also refers to the measure of magnitude or size of the headphone's output compared to its input as a function of frequency. It essentially shows how accurately the headphones reproduce each frequency of an audio signal in terms of amplitude. Harman and its researchers wanted to figure out what the best headphone frequency response was, because at the time there was little to no consensus on what the best headphone frequency response was. Due to all the uncertainty about what produced the best sound for headphones, Harman decided to experiment and figure out what the most optimal frequency response was of headphones while listening to stereo audio recordings. In short, Harman conducted blind listening tests on a small group of trained listeners to research common preferences for different headphone frequency response curves. The listeners had varying years of audio experience and complete proficiency in Harman's How to Listen software, which trains users how to spot distortions in music. For the experiment, Harman decided to test with the Sennheiser HD518s and Odyssey LCD2 Rev2 headphones, based on the consistency of the seal, low distortion, and extended frequency response. Both headphones were also circumaural, or around/over the ear, so they always had consistent coupling to the user's head. The headphones also had varying price ranges, with the Sennheiser being $125 and the LCD2s being $995 at the time. To find the curves they needed for the experiment, Harman's researchers conducted a no EQ test. EQ means equalization, which is the process of altering the frequency response of an audio system by adjusting the amplitude or volume of audio signals. Once they conducted a no EQ test, he created 6 different equalizer models, including their loudspeaker frequency response from their Harman reference listening room. These frequency responses came from previous psychoacoustic research. The curves Harman ended up using were called the RRG and the RR1G curves. The RR1G curve was a straight line that sloped downwards as the frequency increased, whereas the RRG curve corresponds to a straight horizontal line with boosted bass. The RR1G, when used in loudspeaker listening experiments, was the preferred frequency response. Once they figured out measurements, Harman's researchers took a small group of employees with audio listening experience and had them test each headphone 6 times for a total of 12 tests. Each subject was to give an 11-point rating system for preference. The subjects were allowed to switch through frequency responses and programs, such as different sounds in music, and give feedback freely. The programs or music that they decided to test with were based on having a wide frequency range and high-quality audio recordings. If you're wondering which tracks they use Jennifer Warnes, Birds on a Wire, female vocals, Steely Dan, Cousin Dupree, male vocals, and Dallas Wind Symphony, Tchaikovsky's Parade of Wooden Soldiers, a classical piece. Alright, now that you've had a good idea of how the experiments were conducted, you may be wondering what the results ended up being. For the end results, the Harman researchers discovered that the test using the Audeze LCD2 headphones showed that the RR1G response curve was by far the most preferred, compared to the RRG response curve. And after equalization, the Sennheiser HD518 scored a higher rating than the RR1G over the RRG response curve as well. The researchers cited that the correlation seemed to be that stereo recordings mixed on a stereo monitor system sound the best when your headphones are equalized the same as a stereo loudspeaker system. When the listeners were asked about their personal opinions, the researchers discovered that the most preferred headphone target responses were generally described as sounding neutral and well-balanced. The less preferred headphone target responses were frequently described as sounding too bright, dull, thin, and colored. And there you have it. Hopefully, you were able to get a better understanding of what the Harman curve is and how they determine the best frequency response curve for headphones. Make sure to leave us a like if you found this video helpful and subscribe for more informational videos in the future. We'll also leave a link to our blog post in the description below for more information on this topic. In the comments below, let us know if you think the Harman curve is a good benchmark for headphone frequency response or if it's still up in the air. If you're someone looking to further the comfort and sound of your headphones, check us out at DekoniAudio.com, where we have attenuation kits and upgraded earpads, which can allow you to modify the sound of your headphones as you pursue the perfect listening experience.